At the start of the Watcher, you spawn into a new area in Industrial Complex. And when you try to go to Five Pebbles to have, story stuff happen, instead, you're halted by an area that looks like this. This is a cool moment, but it also feels very modded. It feels fan-made. It's like a creepypasta written about Rain World. So as much as this was cool, it also did feel a little bit goofy. You're forced to meet this new echo, which will then send you back to the top of Industrial Complex, where the world will now be partially rotted. Then, when you visit 2 more echoes, you will then get sent to a brand new region. And this is where I start to have some serious problems. See, the Watcher has 20 new regions, but they're not all actually connected to each other in the same way that the regular regions are. In regular Rain World, the regions are connected to each other with karma gates, and the placement of each region makes logical sense in 3D space, and the region's art styles will begin to blend together as you get closer to the gate, which will signify that you're about to go from one region to another. This allows the player to make a pretty good mental map of where everything is just off of a single playthrough. But not in the Watcher. Instead, all of these new regions are completely isolated, not physically connected to each other in any way. The way you travel from one region to another is by literally teleporting to a new region. And worst of all, the location of the echo in each new region is random. Where the echo teleports you to is the same every time, but where that echo actually is in the region is completely randomized. This means that you can memorize which region connects to which other region, but you can't actually know the route to get there. And there's no actual rhyme or reason as to where the echoes will be, or have one particular region that you want to go back to. You have to spend a ton of time doing a massive trek back through all of these dumb portals just to get there. And memorizing the path back to said region is nearly impossible. Now, the game does give you this map that shows you which region is connected to what. It's pretty confusing at first, but you can definitely get the hang of reading it after a while. But the only way to open up this map is in a shelter after you've rested. You can't open this map up in the middle of actual gameplay. So I hope your memory is really, really good, and I hope you don't find this ugly jumble of dots and lines confusing in any way. Otherwise, you're going to be really lost. Also had was that it felt like the beginning of the DLC was setting up some cool lore drop or something, with the world you're already familiar with slowly rotting as you find more echoes. But then the game starts teleporting you around to random places, and starts teleporting you around to random places, and the Echo starts like saying weird shit to you, and the DLC gets so trippy in the end that it's hard to tell if any of the stuff from the start was even real to begin with, or if it was just some weird dream sequence or something. In fact, that's an issue with all of the lore in The Watcher, not just the beginning. It feels completely incoherent, because the lore is all focused on this Echo that you have to keep finding in tons of different places, and they say a bunch of cryptic bullshit to you constantly that feels like it has no actual substance. And then you get teleported to a new place and you do it all over again, until eventually you're at the end, and you find the final Echo, and now you're in a place that resembles a bustling city outside or something, but like, where are Where are we? It's the Echo. Are we in an alternate dimension? Like time travel? Is any of what we're seeing even real? Short answers none of these questions. People compare The Watcher to the base game in terms of its vagueness, but I couldn't disagree more with this comparison. Because I understand that Rainworld is all about environmental storytelling, and I understand that it needs to be left up to your own interpretation to some extent, but The Watcher is clearly crossing a line. There's being intentionally vague, and then there's being so cryptic that practically no meaning can be derived from anything that happens at all. The Watcher is so vague that any interpretation you could possibly make of what happens in the DLC is just as likely to be true as any other interpretation, because it's so open-ended and vague that nothing really matters. Nothing's real. This doesn't make for a compelling story. It's actually mind-numbing to try and follow along, and despite what some people might say, this is not at all what the base game story is like. The base game story of Rainworld is definitely open-ended, but there are fixed plot points that can be directly observed by the player through lines of dialogue spoken by Pebbles and Moon. The game tells you explicitly about why Moon collapsed, why Pebbles is infected with rot, why the Ancients aren't here anymore. It has undeniable plot points that you can latch onto, plot points that you can then build your theories around. The Watcher is all of the vagueness and all of the open-endedness of the base game, with none of the actual substance, none of the cold hard facts that can be latched onto to give the player a hint of what is or is not true about the story. And small nugget of information that you think you can glean from the Watcher's story is just completely contradicted by information in the base game. The daddy longlegs and the rot is a perfect example. It goes from being an accidental, self-inflicted metaphor for cancer inside of 5 Pebbles that can't survive without its host, to being a sentient, godlike hive mind that can travel through the multiverse. Like, fuck off, what are you talking about? Anything you off. What are you talking about? Anything you think you can take from Watcher's story is actively contradicted multiple times everywhere else in the Rainworld story. You have to bend over backwards so hard just to try and justify what you're seeing being real in the first place. It's all just vibes. It's just cool visuals, cool lines of dialogue, none of which actually means anything. Now, multiple endings to this DLC. There's the simple ending, where you just find the final echo in this one place, and then leave and go into a bedroom and play with some toys or whatever, I don't fucking know. But the second ending involves this region, named the Throne. The way to access this ending is very simple, but incredibly tedious. Some of the regions in the Watcher are infected with rot. If you teleport from a rotted region to a non-rotted region, the once clean region you teleported to will also get infected by rot. If you intermittently travel back to the Throne, you will see your work has created some sort of strange creature named the Prince. To access the true ending, you need to rot every single new region and then come back to the Throne one final time to see this hideous creature you've created. Now this, to me, has the exact same problem the rest of the story does. It's a 10 out of 10 in vibes. It looks awesome. The concept is awesome. It's visually incredible. But in terms of actual substance, it makes no sense. It doesn't mean anything. This can be interpreted in so many different crazy ways that there's actually nothing to be gleaned from this in terms of an actual plot. And because of the nature of the rest of the DLC, we have no idea if any of this is even real, or if it is real, but it's like an alternate reality or something. 100% vibes, 0% story. But this ending actually highlights another problem that I had with the Watcher DLC, and that is how incredibly tedious the gameplay can be. To get this final ending, you need to endlessly backtrack to regions you've already visited, completely arbitrarily, just so you can get the ending. It takes forever to do, and it's incredibly tedious. And this tedium is made even worse by this Throne region that you need to constantly revisit. This region starts out as the Outer Rim, and if you trek left for like 15 minutes straight, you eventually reach the Throne. You need to do this trip multiple times to get the ending to work. Times to get the ending to work. It actually made me feel like Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill, like I felt I was like stuck in purgatory forever. And trekking across the Outer Rim is added on top of the already time-consuming work to rot every other region. This walk, the first time you do it, is really cool, because visually this region looks great, and the suspense of what you're gonna find at the end of it is exciting. But having to do this multiple times, for no reason, with no way to fast travel it, is just tedious. But DLC that's seemingly designed around exploring a bunch of new regions, some of those regions are really boring to explore. A lot of them just loop back in a big circle, forcing you to go in the direction the game wants you to go in. This Outer Rim is a perfect example, actually. The Throne is all the way to the left, but you can walk to the right and there's this enormous region to explore. But that region is mostly completely empty, and it all loops back around to try and make you walk to the left, because that's where the important place is. Similar to the Throne, where you have to play Death Stranding for half an hour to get where you're going, there's a few other regions that do a similar thing, where they want to show you something cool, so they just force you to trek a super long distance so that you can see the cool thing in the background. And it's really cool the first time, but on repeat playthroughs, or if you accidentally teleport here again, it's just a tremendous... Now that's all the major things I dislike, but now let's get on to the more nitpicky stuff. Let's start with these little guys. I think this creature might literally be Hitler. They're these little hermit crab things, and oh my god, they're just so annoying. Oh my god. They cannot be killed by spears or rocks, and when you touch them, they electrocute you. And they spawn in clumps of maybe like 6 or 7 of them, and the only purpose they serve in the game is to softlock you. That's all they do. They will sit inside of a pipe and not move, completely preventing you from progressing in any way, shape, or form. If you throw a rock at one, it will start running away. Now you might be thinking, oh, well, if they run away, just throw a rock at it. Wrong! Because they spawn in big clumps, so throwing a rock at one doesn't make the rest of them move. And the rest of them will body block the one that's trying to run away and prevent it from getting out of your way. So these little freak enemies just create a blockage that you cannot realistically move under any circumstance. I actually got completely soft locked by these enemies at one point, actually. I had no way to climb up this pipe, and the pipe down below me was completely blocked by these disgusting little gremlins. I think this negative review I found sums up my opinion on them pretty nicely, actually. There's also new lizard type that's just, I don't know, it's just stupid. I don't know what else to say about it. I just hate it. It's dumb. Like, it shoots a giant laser out of its mouth, because, like, yeah, fucking sure, why not? Who cares? Who cares anymore? Like, yeah, I get that there's already a few absurd creatures in Rainworld, like, you know, lizards with jetpacks that can leap around and stuff, but for some reason, this one is just, it's just a step too far for me. It's like what a 13-year-old would think was a cool Rainworld enemy. And the Watcher also has an issue that I actually also think the Downpour Slugcats had too, which is that it strays very far from what I personally loved so much about the base game. I've said this many times in many videos, but in Rainworld's base game, the game really isn't about you. You're like a little slugcat surviving in a scary ecosystem, and there's this big story about ancient beings and omniscient robots, but all of that doesn't concern you. You're just a little rodent running around witnessing the story passively. You are not the main character. But in The Watcher, and also in Downpour, instead of being a small creature in a scary world, you're a godlike being who can fold space and time, and you are cataclysmically important to the story. You go from being a footnote in the history of this world to being the most important creature to ever exist, who changes the entire universe for the rest of time. There's nothing inherently wrong with going in this direction, but it does stray away from what made the original Rainworld so magical. But you can get away with going in this direction, so another nitpick is that there's a lot of visual clutter in Rainworld the Watcher. It looks cool at first, but then when you're in a room with a lizard and also a bunch of bullshit on the screen, it gets in the way of gameplay really badly. Now,